It always starts small. You're at your desk, finishing your second cup of coffee, when your boss strolls by with a grin and says something like, "Hey, if anyone asks, I was in the office all day yesterday." It's casual, almost laughable. Maybe he ducked out early for his kid's baseball game or left to catch a flight and forgot to log it. No big deal, right? At first glance, it doesn't seem like much. Who hasn't stretched the truth a bit here and there? But something nags at the back of your mind. It isn't the first time. There was that odd moment last week when he wanted you to adjust a date on a report. And the week before that, when he mentioned a client meeting he never actually attended, but wanted you to include in the team update. At the time, you shrugged it off. Everyone bends the truth sometimes, especially under pressure. But then one day it changes. He comes into your office, closes the door, and lowers his voice. This time, the ask isn't harmless. He wants you to sign off on numbers you know aren't accurate. Or maybe he wants you to say you witnessed something you didn't. It's no longer a matter of shaving off a few minutes or hiding a missing receipt. It's lying, intentionally, and your name's on the line. The air gets heavy. You can feel it. In that moment, a simple truth becomes terrifying. If you say no, you risk your relationship with your boss, maybe even your job. If you say yes, you're not just lying for someone else. You are lying with them. That's a line you can't easily uncross. You start to replay the conversation in your head a dozen times. You wonder if you're overreacting. Maybe it wasn't as serious as it seemed. Maybe you misunderstood. But deep down you know you didn't. And even if the request seemed subtle, the message was clear. Help me hide this, and let's not talk about it again. The truth is, when your boss asks you to lie, it's not just a moral issue, it's a professional trap. What makes it worse is that it doesn't always come with threats. Sometimes it comes with smiles. Do me a favor, they say. It's just this once, they promise. That's the part that gets you. The informal tone, the friendly shrug. Like you're in on the joke, like you're part of the team, like loyalty means silence. You might be tempted to tell yourself it's harmless, that if you don't say anything, you're not really involved. But silence is its own kind of answer. Once you agree to let one thing slide, it becomes easier to let the next one go. Soon, you're no longer just an observer. You're a participant. And suddenly, you're worried, not just about what he asked you to do, but about what happens next. You start keeping notes, not because you're planning to be dramatic, but because you don't trust your memory under stress. Dates, times, emails, conversations. You want to remember exactly what was said and when, not just to protect yourself, but to be sure you're not losing your grip on what's real and what isn't. You start asking around quietly. Has anyone else been asked to fudge numbers? Did anyone else see what happened in the meeting last week? You're cautious, testing the waters. Some colleagues give you quick answers and change the subject. Others hesitate, their eyes darting away. You can tell they are wondering the same things, but they are not ready to say it out loud. Then you reach a crossroads. You can't pretend it's fine anymore. It is not. You are stuck between doing what's easy and doing what's right. You decide to talk to HR. You rehearse your words. You try to make it about the facts, not the feelings. You don't want to sound dramatic or like you're accusing anyone. You just want to make sure someone knows. You walk into the office, heart racing, palms sweating. It's the most nerve-wracking meeting of your career. To your relief, they listen. They nod. They ask questions. They take it seriously, or at least they seem to. You leave the room with cautious hope. Maybe, just maybe, doing the right thing was enough. But hope is a fickle thing. Days go by, then weeks. Nothing changes. Your boss is still in charge. You hear whispers that he's aware someone said something, but you can't be sure. You feel the tension in meetings. You notice fewer emails in your inbox. A couple of assignments you expected to lead are handed off to someone else. You're being iced out quietly, professionally. Now you are in unfamiliar territory. You've done the right thing, but you're not being protected. You're being punished, subtly but steadily. Your confidence takes a hit. You start second-guessing everything. But you don't regret it, not really. Because deep down you know that staying silent would have cost you something bigger. Your peace, your integrity, that quiet confidence that lets you sleep at night, knowing you didn't sell yourself short. Sometimes you wonder what would have happened if you had just played along. If you had nodded, smiled, and done what he asked. No questions, no hesitation. Maybe things would have stayed easy for a while. Maybe you'd still be in the loop, on good terms, part of the club. You wouldn't be the difficult one, the outlier. You get invited to the meetings, the happy hours, maybe even the promotion shortlists. But then again, at what cost? Every time you swallow the truth, a little part of you would have chipped away. Because deep down, you know that ease bought with silence is not peace, it's performance. And that mask gets heavier every day. But the truth is, once someone shows you who they are, once they ask you to lie and drag you into their shadow, you can't unsee it. You can't unhear the words. You can't unknow the discomfort. That trust is broken, like a glass that shattered in slow motion. And even if they smile at you the next day like nothing happened, even if they act like you are imagining things, you know the line's been crossed. There's a tension now, unspoken but undeniable. It clings to your desk chair, follows you into meetings, sits on your shoulders like a weight. You go from feeling like part of a team to feeling like a liability, for having a conscience. And suddenly, you start counting the exits. Some people stay in jobs like that for years. They become experts at justifying, compartmentalizing, surviving. They learn to live with it, to play the game, to laugh when things aren't funny and clap when nothing's been earned. They tell themselves it's not their business, that it's just a paycheck, that everyone has a boss who's a little shady, that this is just how it works. But you are not wired that way. You feel it in your stomach every time your values are dismissed. You want to be proud of where you work, of who you are when you show up there. You want to go home at night and not have to wash off the guilt. So you start looking elsewhere, quietly at first. You refresh your resume, hoping you still remember how to sell yourself after months or years of playing small. You reach out to contacts, wondering if they'll remember you. You take interviews during lunch breaks, in parked cars, with a nervous pulse pounding in your ears. It feels risky, like cheating on a toxic partner, but also oddly freeing. You start to imagine what it would be like to work somewhere that doesn't ask you to compromise. Somewhere that values integrity instead of just results. A place where your voice isn't a liability, it's an asset. Then one day it happens. You get an offer, a real one. Better pay, better culture. A team that values transparency. You accept. On your last day, your boss barely looks at you. Maybe he knows why you were leaving. Maybe he does not. It doesn't matter. You walk out of the building for the last time feeling lighter, clearer, like someone who chose their own story instead of letting someone else write it for them. Later, when people ask why you left, you don't give the full story. You just smile and say, it was time for something better. And it was. Because in the end, it's not just about one lie or one bad boss. It's about what you're willing to stand for and what you are not. It's about the quiet power of saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. It's about trusting that the truth might cost you in the short term, but it buys you something far more valuable, your self-respect. And that, you have learned, is worth everything. And hey, if this video hit a little too close to home, you're not alone. So many people are quietly dealing with these kinds of workplace dilemmas, and sometimes just hearing that someone else made it through can make all the difference. If this resonated with you, do me a favor, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. Got a story of your own? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone, and you never know who your experience might help. Thanks for watching. Stay brave, stay grounded, and always choose integrity over easy.